What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
Guys,
That was
What is up, Sauce Nation? It is your boy Hector Flores coming at you with a video talking about the Houston Astros. Kind of talking about the Houston Astros, but the postseason is now set. All the teams that are qualified for the postseason are now qualified. The only team that is not essentially secured is the NL Central Division between the Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals. So right now they're still kind of trying to figure out who's going to win the division and who's going into the wild card game. But as far as the AL goes, the stage is set. We know who's playing against who as so far. Now, the Astros yesterday clinched home field advantage after beating the Anaheim Angels, and a win tonight will not only secure them complete and total home field advantage throughout the World Series, but just puts them as the best team in the MLB. So, there's a lot to talk about, and it's really exciting to talk about because now we're going closer to October, my favorite time of the year because I love postseason baseball. But before I get going with this video, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. As we're trying to spread a little bit more out with Sauce Sports TV. And of course, if you guys want content on the Houston Dynamo, the Astros, the Rockets, any other Houston teams that is not the Texans, this is the channel to be at. So make sure that you guys subscribe to Sauce Sports TV so you guys can get that content. So let's get going with this video. So before I get going about the rest of this video, I will kind of break down exactly how the postseason works for baseball for those who aren't completely familiar. So obviously there's two leagues, the American League and National League. Within that league, there is 5 teams that qualify for the postseason. Obviously the 3 division winners and 2 wildcard teams. Now, the two for that, obviously, essentially, if you also include the NL, there's a total of 6 division winners and 4 wildcard teams. Now, like I said, now we're just going to split it into one segment. So let's look at the AL since that's the division we're in. So those 2 wildcard teams will go ahead and play against each other for one game to see who will advance and continue on with the postseason. The winner of that game will go ahead and play the first seed, which in this case would be the Houston Astros, and the second and third seed, which is the New York Yankees and the Minnesota Twins, who just also happen to achieve a 100+ win season. So this is the first time ever in MLB history that we have 4 teams have 100+ wins, and obviously those teams are the Minnesota Twins, the New York Yankees, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Houston Astros. But yeah, so that's how the postseason works. So like I said, the wildcard game is just one game. Then you have the DS, which will be the best of 5. So obviously first to 3 wins moves on to the next round. And then the ALCS, or just the CS in general, and the World Series will be the best of 7. So that's just pretty much how the postseason works. Now, like I said, man, 2 wildcard teams got to play in order for us to really know who we will be taking on. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a preview of the 2 teams that will be facing off against each other for the wildcard game and who essentially I would prefer to face going into the postseason. So the second place wildcard team, which will be the road team going into the wildcard game, is the Tampa Bay Rays. This season we were 3-4 against them, as we ended up going 1-3 at their ballpark, and we were 2-1 here when they played here, and obviously it was Charlie Morton's return to Houston, which, if you guys didn't know, Charlie Morton plays for the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay has kind of been kind of that team that no one really saw coming, kind of because they saw the potential as far as their pitching goes, but they just didn't know if their offense would be up there yet. But overall, against the Tampa Bay Rays, the Astros are 24-36, 15-18 at home, and 9-18 away. I wouldn't really look into that because obviously that also includes the years when the Astros were pretty poor. But looking at this, we tend not to play really well in Tampa Bay. Some rankings that they have. So I'm only going to talk about the rankings that they're number 1 at. And they're ranking their first overall in opponent home runs per game, which is 1.11, which just shows how good their pitching staff has been this season. Is that something really to worry about? I wouldn't essentially say so, because I mean, obviously, though they are the same division with the New York Yankees, but we'll see how it goes when they face off against us, because postseason is a completely different thing, and we'll definitely see how Tampa Bay looks as a postseason team. And the next team is the number 1 wildcard team, the team that will have the home field advantage for the wildcard game, and that is the Oakland Athletics. Obviously, a team that's within our division. This season, the Astros were able to be 11-8 against the Oakland Athletics, being 6-4 at home and 5-4 away, which kind of makes sense. Obviously, we would be better at home, and obviously, Oakland, we would have like a slight edge, because I mean, Oakland's a really tough ballpark in my opinion. Overall, the Astros are 71-68 against the Oakland Athletics, being 37-33 at home and 34-35 away. But if you just include the record for 2010 era in general, the Astros actually have a slight edge on the road against the Oakland Athletics. Now, in the rankings, they're currently not number 1 in any specific group, but they are in top 5 in some of the categories, but I'm just not going to list those, because I only want to point out what they're number 1 at. So, Oakland has gotten better and better each year. Obviously, they've brought in called up some pretty good prospects. Their pitching isn't necessarily completely scary, but I think it's because of what they have as far as firepower goes. Obviously, you're talking about Chapman, Piscotty, and Chris Davis. So, obviously, home field advantage against Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay does have a solid pitching. So, who knows how that matchup's going to be. It's going to be a really interesting game. But yeah, I really find this matchup interesting. So, I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all who I would prefer to be playing against on Friday night. So, between the Oakland Athletics and the Tampa Bay Rays, honestly, it's going to be a really interesting matchup. But I mean, when looking at this, I would much rather play against the Oakland Athletics. It's a team that we're very familiar with, as we're in the same division with them, so we play them very frequently. Their pitching is not essentially the greatest thing out there, so I think that's where we have the advantage, especially with the way the guys have been hitting the ball recently. And I think with our pitching rotation against theirs, I just don't think they will be able to last a 5-game series against the Houston Astros. And kind of going into it, I just think with Tampa Bay is just gonna be the team that can rock the opposing team's rotation. And so that's really the big battle right there. I think either of these teams we can go ahead and definitely win them. But obviously, Oakland seems like a team we're very familiar with. We played them so many times, and plus, because Oakland is from a California time zone, I think we will get that prime time spot for the postseason instead of the Yankees, because obviously fans are not going to want to wake up or watch a baseball game at 11 in the morning because of the West Coast time, and so it'll be MLB's best decision. Actually, I don't know why I said best behavior, but best decision to go ahead and have the Astros in that prime time slot, which they honestly should deserve, since they are the 1 seed and the best team overall in the MLB this year. So if I had to pick, I would honestly want to take on the Oakland Athletics. Alright, so in every single video from here on out, I will be having a comment of the day. So I'll be looking at my previous video, see a comment if it either has a question or just something interesting. I'll go ahead and pick that out and read that comment to you guys and address it. So this comment of the day, or however we're going to call it, it is from Kevin Castillo, and the question is, who do you see winning the Cy Young? I think most people would say Verlander, but I think Cole has been absolutely phenomenal all season. So Kevin, I mean, best thing to say is Cole's had a crazy year. I think he's had literally his best season. He's over 300 strikeouts. I just don't see how you wouldn't give him the Cy Young. Verlander, I definitely know he's had a great year. Obviously had the no-hitter, and also fun fact tonight, if Verlander is pitching, and he is 6 strikeouts away from hitting 3,000 strikeouts for his career. And so even though I know that Verlander is having a phenomenal season, I just don't think it tops with what Garrett Cole has done all year, as he's been consistently leading in strikeouts, and he's just been a solid pitcher. But you can't take that away from Verlander as well. He's been leading in some categories as well. Honestly, man, if I was looking at it, I think Verlander should be looked more at for MVP. And I know Alex Bregman's now being in that discussion for MVP, but I think the way Verlander has been playing, I just see that he should be considered for the MVP award. And the fact that Cole's had a phenomenal year pitching wise, should be looked at for the Cy Young, and I think that I mean, it's very fair to say that. So like I said, shout out to Kevin Castillo. Thanks for commenting on the videos. If you guys want to be featured for comment of the day, or however we're going to label this, make sure you guys go into that comment section and either ask a question or put something out there that's kind of interesting, and we'll discuss it in the next video. All right, so wrap things up. You know, postseason's coming up, man. Our Astros first game will be on Friday. Obviously, that does not include the wild card games because the Astros don't have to worry about the wild card games. But we know for sure Friday will be the first game of the ALDS for the Houston Astros. The only thing that's really up in the air is just the time slot, which could honestly be all dependent on who we play against, whether it's the Oakland Athletics or the Tampa Bay Rays. So I think that's the big thing. And but I'm really excited. I can't wait. I'm ready for this run. So if you guys please subscribe to Sauce Sports TV, like this video, go ahead in the comment section, tell me either how you're excited about this postseason, or if you have a question about the MLB postseason or just baseball in general, drop it in the comment section and I will have no problem to answer it for y'all. So with all that being said, man, chucking up a deuce. Y'all stay saucy.